It's no secret that people's interest in FC25 is coming to an end. The game has been out for 8 months now, was never really that loved, and let's be honest, you're probably kinda bored of playing it. But this game cost us £60, so why don't we try to get one last career mode out of our game? Today I'll be sharing 7 of my favourite ideas from FC25 so we can enjoy the game one last time. If I've talked about a team in more depth in a different video, I'll include a link to that in the top right of this video, so if you enjoyed the idea, make sure you check out the full idea. We'll be looking at teams from different leagues, different nations, and different ratings, so I'm sure you'll find at least one interesting save in today's video. So let's get started with one that you probably guessed would be in this video following the Europa League final. I don't think the first save needs that much introduction. After giving Erik ten Hag £250 million to spend, Manchester United are probably going to do the same thing with Ruben Amorim. Will he spend it bringing in former Sporting players like Ten Hag did with Ajax? Well, I'm not quite sure, but that's the thing about a United rebuild that makes it so much more fun than any other club in the world. You can literally do anything, and it will make sense because of how weird Manchester United are. So let's quickly analyse the United squad. There's probably only really 3 centre-backs you'd want to keep, plus maybe Harry Maguire. Your starting defensive midfielders are 2 very slow 32-year-olds, and you only have 1 winger that's got the potential to grow beyond 72 overall. The entire squad is in an awful place, but that's exactly why you need to rebuild it. Personally, I'd probably recall Sancho from his loan early in the season, retrain him to be an attacking midfielder, and develop him to complement Garnacho and Højlund as much as I can. The classic Fergie 4-4-2 does also seem to suit this United squad pretty well. While I don't think Amorim will switch to 4-4-2, if you want to, the share code is on the screen right now, and also on my tactics database site if you fancy using a different era of Alex Ferguson. You'll probably also want to retrain Garnacho to be your right attacking midfielder, and you'll definitely need 2 new wide midfielders who can also defend. Matthias Reis from Sporting would be a really good pick. He'll cover both left mid and centre back, and you have weaknesses in both of those areas. But whether you want to be the second Alex Ferguson or the first Ruben Amorim, I know that rebuilding Manchester United is a fun save and also a really good way to bow out on FC25. In the past decade, Malaga have been both European regulars and also the 3rd best team in Spain. I think a lot of us that remember the 2013 team with Isco, Santi Cazorla, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Joaquin will want to get back to those days, but first, you'll have to rebuild them as Spain's 3rd worst team. They were last at this level in 2023 and had an awful season then. This year wasn't that much better, and they find themselves towards the bottom of the 2nd division. In 2023, they couldn't turn things around, but after a season in the 3rd division, they're now back on FC25. To be honest, other than their status as a pretty legendary career mode side, Malaga is your typical 2nd division rebuild. You'll have some recent history to try to recreate. I mean, it's only about 6 years ago that they were finishing mid-table in La Liga, so you can maybe be a bit more aggressive with your signings and keeping the save realistic at the same time. You could sign lots of players from southern Spanish teams like Real Betis, as both are also based in Andalusia, but make sure to avoid signing players from their fierce rivals Granada and Seville. Rebuilding Malaga to finally reach a final should take probably almost all of the 15 years you get inside career mode, even though you'll only need to get promoted a single time. Malaga is a really fun save, especially if you played FIFA 13 back in the day. It is a little bit annoying that EA never got round to adding their stadium that was already scanned into previous games, but everything else about this club is perfectly set up for a really fun rebuild. They're known for their academy, they're known for their takeover, they're known for playing in Europe, and for signing some legendary older players. You can literally take this save in any direction you want once you get promoted back to La Liga. Okay, I'm going way out of Europe for this next one, to one of the few non-European clubs to have actually ever won a quadruple. That's right, in 1991 and 1996, East Bengal would win quadruples. Sure, this isn't actually possible in FIFA at the minute, there's not enough tournaments in India, but you can still try to take what is now a mid-table team to try and win a title and maybe try and get the treble. There is a precedent to East Bengal winning something recently too, because last year they won the Super Cup, and that means they're now playing in the Asian Champions League from Season 1. The Super Cup isn't actually the same as the title, so I'm saying that East Bengal have never actually won the title. Of course, no Indian team has ever even made the semi-final for the Asian Champions League either, so there's always room to keep extending the save if you want a further goal. I can't say that I've heard of many people trying the Indian League on FIFA, but the couple of stories that I have read about it have always been really interesting. If you don't care about using players you've heard of, I think that the Indian League could be the perfect place to do a short-term save. I can't see this being the most popular save in this video, but it could possibly be the most fun if you give it a try. Let me know if you do give it a go, because I am actually interested to see if anyone goes out and does this save. I can't believe I'm including Juventus in a video like this, but here we are. I know how fun this save can be. You might have seen the Director of Football series I did with them. These guys were the dominant force of Italian football for the past couple of decades, but since the Pirlo, Pogba and Chiellini have faded, they're now the second or third best team in most seasons. That's still really impressive, don't get me wrong, but it's absolutely not where Juventus should be. They should be in Champions League finals and winning 20 games in a row. But anyway, why does this team even need rebuilding? It's fairly young, most of the players are under the age of 28, it's got good potential, the wages are under control, and the tactics seem pretty fun to use too. So what can we actually rebuild? Well, I think the first thing that any Juventus manager should do is try and sign Conceição on a permanent deal. This guy has got so much talent, he can easily become an elite inside forward, one of the best in the entire world. With him cutting in from the right, you'll probably want someone more traditional on the left as a winger and a target man in the middle, which, thankfully, Yildiz and Vlahovic are perfect for. All three of these players have room to improve by a lot, and I've still not recommended a single part of the rebuild. So let's get on to that then, because I was actually shocked to see how much of this Juventus team was on loan. You don't have a single good permanent goalkeeper, your two best right midfielders and starting centre back are also both loaned in, and these are the positions that you'll want to look into signing players for. Alongside the front three, I'd also probably be looking to push Coop Miners back, maybe as a half winger on the right hand side, move Locatelli onto the left of the three, and then sign a brand new attacking midfielder. I think Rayan Cherki is a bit of a career mode cliche at this point, but he would actually be ideal as a runner from deep that would make the most of Vlahovic's hold-up play. Within 2 to 3 years, this team will have grown enough with their potential to be Champions League contenders, and depending on the defence of the keeper you go for, could even win the whole thing. It's not the biggest rebuild, sure, but it should still be fun to build one of the most historic teams in Italy and Europe back up to the top of football. This Juve save, along with the Man United save that I mentioned earlier, were part of a video where I talked about 5-star rebuild saves. There are a couple of other rebuild saves in that video that I liked, so if you want to check it out, click on the card that's in the top right of the video right now. Just before we talk about the next save, can I please just ask you to consider subscribing to this channel? I've got some content coming up that I'm really excited to share with you, and I think you'll really enjoy it if you're enjoying this video. I would guess that some people watching this video right now might not know that Charlton were a decent Premier League team for quite a while. This save is all about getting them back there in a couple of seasons, and if you build it right, it's more than possible to achieve back-to-back promotions from League One to the Premier League, just as Ipswich Town. It's hard to believe that it's been 20 years since Charlton was last in the Premier League, and back then, Charlton even was one of the teams that drew with the invincible Arsenal team, as Alan Kirbishley's perennial overachievers would go on to finish 7th in the Premier League that season, just 3 points, a single win of qualifying for European competitions. Now, I think that's actually a really good goal for your save. Try and get into European competitions with Charlton for the first time in their history. But before you can do that, I think the goal needs to be get playoffs in Season 1 and try to get Championship playoffs by the end of Season 2. Certainly, Charlton is in need of some stability. They have had a bunch of owners that have made massive promises and all of them have fallen short, and the fans really do deserve better. I mean, in one game, the fans would protest by throwing plastic pigs onto the field. In another one, the owners would perform with an electric guitar before the match. The club has gone through 6 or 7 changes now since 2021, so promotion would be huge for this club. Eventually, I think you'll build them to be a similar size to London neighbours Brentford, who went through a similar rise by signing talented young players from the lower leagues and then going on to sell them for huge money. Maybe Shrewsbury's Tom Bloxham could be your Ivan Toney, or Miles Leeburn could be your Ollie Watkins if you choose to sign them. It shouldn't be the longest save that you ever do, but you can always extend it if you're having fun. If not, you should be happy that you brought a struggling club back to the level that they probably belong at, while also using a team you might have never used before. This save was first in a video I made about short-term quick-fire saves, so if you'd like to see the rest of the ideas from that video, click on the card that's at the top right now. I know I've talked about England a lot in this video, and if you're not feeling it, how about you go to the team that developed Luis Suarez, Virgil van Dijk and Arjen Robben? FC Groningen have just been promoted from the Eerste Divisie and they're back in FC25. These guys are ideal for a really long save, even though you don't ever even have to win promotion. With a reputation for bringing through multiple players with over 90 potential, there aren't many better sides for a youth-focused academy save. It's really easy to get top talents from the Netherlands, but Groningen are also just 26 miles from Germany and 120 miles from Denmark, as well as having a good reputation for bringing through South Americans. While they weren't on FC24, Groningen spent that season replacing as many of their relegated squad with as many high potential young players as possible. If you click on their squad on Geografifa, you can see how much potential they have, but if you don't want to spoil that, then just know they have a really good squad. So many of their squad can become good enough to play in at least the Europa League, and a few might even progress beyond that and be Champions League regulars by Season 5. Basically, Groningen are a really fun youth-based rebuild save in a top league in Europe. You won't have to do the league building that somewhere like Malmo would have to do to try and get Sweden up to a higher level, because the Eredivisie is already a top 5 league. Ajax and PSV have squads that are literally packed with potential, so while your team's developing, they will also be improving, and the league will just keep getting better and better. It wouldn't surprise me if you have several 80 rated teams by the end of Season 5, and I really enjoyed this kind of save, so hopefully you do too. As long as you keep some kind of realism with your save, like selling players to higher rated leagues when they reach 75 or 80 overall, you have a really challenging long save where you can rebuild a high potential team to finally rival some of the nation's most successful teams. The Malaga and Groningen save in this video were featured in a video I made about long-term saves back at the start of FC25. I'll also link that card at the top of this video right now if you'd like to see some of the other teams I talked about that are in similar positions to Malaga and Groningen. Of course, there are teams that are even better with their youth academies than Groningen. In fact, there's a tweet that was floating around a few months ago that Barcelona are the only club in the world that would actually improve under an embargo. And that is fully true too. If they didn't have that transfer ban a few years ago, Pedri, Gavi, Fati and Kubasi probably wouldn't have been able to play as much as they have for the first team. The current Barcelona squad is already good enough to reach the quarters or maybe the semi-final of the Champions League, so why not try starting your save out with a 3-year embargo? This will give you enough time to rebuild the squad, build up your transfer budget, and then be able to unleash a brand new club in Season 4. You'll be like a butterfly coming out of its cocoon. You should spend a few years slowly rebuilding, probably selling Lewandowski, Szczesny, Martinez and Ter Stegen, and slowly replacing them with academy players with huge potential. In this period, you will also be developing Yamal, Gavi, Pedri and Araujo, who can all get to around 90 potential. You've got some very good young players that could use minutes too, like Kubasi, Firmin and Torre, and by the time your embargo ends, you could have so much money that you can use to fill any gaps that your academy hasn't already filled at that point. The embargo save is really underrated. In fact, I made the full video with 6 ideas that use either takeos or embargoes, and Barcelona was by far the most popular one from that video. So click the card at the top of the video if you'd like to see the other ones. But if not, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully one of the saves we've talked about today is perfect for your final FC25 save. Of course, why don't you do 2 or 3 of these and keep extending how long you're playing FC25 for, and if you need more save ideas, check out the playlist that's on screen right now. But thank you to every one of the channel members, thank you to everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's liked, and I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.